Hey everyone, thanks for rolling in. We're just going to give people a few more minutes to join us and then we'll start the webinar. But appreciate your interest today in learning more about social selling. I think we're ready to roll. So everyone, thanks for joining us today for the webinar with Brian View, President of FinLocker, and Doug Wilbur, CEO of Denim Social. We're going to be learning more today about social selling for financial institutions, so you can make every loan officer an influencer at your company. Brian, Doug, do you want to take it away?
Sure thing, Brian. I'll give you the floor so you can say hello to everybody.
Well, thanks, Diana. Thanks, Megan, Diana, for coordinating and pulling this together. Doug, always good to spend a few minutes with you. As Diana said, I'm Brian View, President and Chief Operating Officer of FinLocker. We'll get into a little bit about FinLocker as we get talking, but Doug and I have been collaborating between our companies and kind of personally and individually, and have always thought that there's a deep connection between kind of financial fitness, financial literacy, and all things consumer financial management with social selling and engagement and building a sales funnel. And so excited today to kind of share some ideas that we've been talking about with everybody that's joined us.
Yeah, and hi everybody. I can't see all your smiling faces, but maybe at some other point in the future, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that we know on the line today. So I'm Doug. I'm the CEO of Denim Social. By way of agenda for today, as you guys can see on the screen here, we're a social selling or a sales enablement platform. We routinely get the question of, well, what exactly is social selling? So we're going to unpack that for all you folks today and hopefully offer some insight into like, how is that different than employee advocacy? How is that different than how you might approach social media from a brand level? How do you transform your producers or your loan officers into social sellers, and why does that matter? I think we all recognize that it's a pretty hyper-competitive market right now. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. What are you doing to arm your top producers and making sure that you're giving them every chance they can to succeed in today's marketplace and frankly retain them as top tier producers? So the other thing that we'll talk about is content. Core to a social selling strategy is the role of content, and that's where our two companies have integrated between FinLocker and Denim Social, have integrated to provide rich and robust financial literacy or financial fitness, as we sort of toss around here, great financial literacy content. And then we'll finally wrap things up with a sort of like, how do we actually do this, right? So that's the agenda for today. Let's kind of take a step back and, why care about social media? Why think about social media? Why should it be a core component of your overarching marketing strategy? And the reason why is because smart marketers are meeting their customers where they are. And when you think about that next generation of home buyer, those folks who are really in their prime earning years, who are making those investments in the largest asset that they will carry on their personal balance sheet, they're spending anywhere between 1 to 5 hours a day on social media. So meeting your customers in their channel of choice where they're choosing to be present is more important now, more so than ever. And you can see on the right-hand side here, where folks are going to actually learn about personal finance. They're going to social, right? They're going to educate themselves digitally and with a digital first education path, but ultimately they still want to have a conversation with a loan officer. They still want to have a personal connection to the person who's going to help them get into that first-time home or buy the vacation property or move into a larger home as their family expands. So social matters. The other thing on top of this is that consumer expectations have fundamentally changed beyond just them being hyper present and hyper engaged on social. Most consumers now, well, not most, but over 40% don't believe that brand related advertising is either accurate or truthful. There's a lot of distrust by way of just traditional advertising. Most millennials would swap out their current brand that they're working for a brand who actually understands them as a person, who understands why they are engaging with that brand and how can they service that customer in a more personalized way. And this is probably the most important stat. And there's no shortage of information with what's going on in the marketplace right now. But only 17% of consumers right now believe it's a good time to buy a home. So if you're not arming your lenders with tools to engage those 17%, we got problems, and that's where social can come in and add a lot of value.
And I would even add, Doug, it's the 17% that say that now's a good time that you want to be engaged with, because that's today's home buyer. But there's the vast majority who don't agree that it's a good time.
Yeah, they're sitting.
It's also a good time to be engaged with them, because at some point, between now and 6, 12, 18 months out, they will think it's a good time. And that's where using tools like FinLocker and Denim Social to stay engaged make a lot of sense.
100%. And keeping, maintaining awareness and presence at the top of the sales funnel. So when that customer actually does raise their hand, they think of your loan officers first. That's kind of getting to the next slide here, which is about relationships. Relationships are everything in the mortgage industry, right? And I think what we hear, and as our customers start working with us and they start to unpack the value of a social selling strategy, is the opportunity to evolve the relationship with your borrowers away from a transaction and towards a longer tail and a longer term relationship. It's very easy to forget that on average, borrowers take out not just one loan, they take out almost 11 loans over the course of their lifetime. They buy a home, they refinance, they buy a vacation property or a rental property, they upgrade their home, right? They make multiple transactions over the course of their lifetime. Borrowers on average will work with one of the first 2 lenders they speak with 92% of the time. So if you're not arming your lenders with the ability to stay top of mind and be right there when that customer is raising their hand and saying, I'm ready to purchase a new home, I'm ready to buy that rental property, I'm ready to refinance. I don't think anybody's refinancing right now, but who knows? And then the punchline on this slide is on the right-hand side is that only 18% of lenders retain their customer base. That's 80, 70, 82% of them who are moving somewhere else. So yeah, maybe you got the first loan, but because you only thought of it as a transaction and you haven't empowered your loan officers to stay engaged with that borrower, you're going to lose the rest of those loans. How great would it be to be able to move that from 18 to call it 30% retention? What's the bottom line impact of your business just by staying engaged? So we believe, and our customers tell us each and every day, that social selling really matters, and social selling helps to transform their loan officers into heroes for their customers. So I thought it'd be really helpful at this point, so to unpack what social selling actually is. What is social selling? Why does it matter? Social selling put quite simply, is the practice of using social media to sell a product or a service. It gives individuals, and in this case, loan officers, the opportunity to showcase their thought leadership to the industry, to engage with potential customers via likes and comments and whatnot, to interact with existing customers and stay present for them. And ultimately, because at the bottom line, I mean, in the financial services industry, what are we ultimately selling? We're selling trust. So it gives loan officers that opportunity to build trust and build longer term relationships beyond just that initial transaction. That's social selling defined. Why does it matter? Well, 57% of revenue within the financial services industry, and they're down here somewhere towards the bottom, is influenced by social selling. Social selling matters a lot for this industry. When over half of your potential customers are being influenced by social, and specifically social selling, you've got to have a social selling strategy armed with great content, armed with platforms that integrate with your existing MarTech stack to be able to execute on this opportunity. Megan, I think you've got teed up here in the background. We wanted to take a quick poll for folks. How many of you are actually social sellers today, or arming your loan officers to be social sellers? Take a second to let everybody vote.
Oh, I can't vote.
I can't vote either. I guess it's because I'm not social selling in this instance. And I can't see the results in front of me, so we'll have to let folks chime in here when we get a poll.
We still have a few votes coming in, just letting them finish up, and then I can share the results.
Great. All right, good. We got a lot of social sellers on the line here today. That's excellent. Always love that. That gives us the opportunity to go deeper than we might normally if we had a lot of folks who were maybe just starting their social selling journey. So thanks, Megan, for putting that poll together. For those of you who aren't social selling today or arming your loan officers with social selling tools, this is another reason to believe. Employees on average have about 10x the following on social than the brands they work for. And every time they post content, they're going to drive on average twice the engagement. So if you think about the effort and energy you're putting behind your brand level social media efforts, think about the amplification of your reach and the opportunity to arm your loan officers with the ability to stay engaged with their customers. But imagine the network effects that take into place here when you empower them to be active on social and driving that 10x reach, that twice the engagement. And from a metrics perspective, we know this matters. Employees who share content on social media are 45% more likely to hit their quota, and they're 57% more likely to generate high quality leads. This sort of translates back to that couple slides ago where we were talking about the percentage of customer relationships within the financial services industry that were influenced by social. If you look at this slide as well, the translation is this really matters. And building social media into your daily routine is very important, but also recognize that your loan officers, what do we really want them to be doing? We want them to be working directly with customers who are in their pipeline, helping them to get into the right product to fit their needs. Most loan officers are not going to be social sellers by themselves. They need the help of their marketing teams to be able to execute upon a social selling strategy, making sure that they are building it into their daily routine, or marketing is building it into their daily routine to support those loan officers with rich and robust content, with developing social advertising campaigns on behalf of loan officers that help them reach beyond their first degree connections, deeper and deeper into the communities that you serve.
I have a question that
Sure.
someone's asked, what are some of the best practices to get loan officers to be active on social media?
100%. Yeah, we hear this a lot. And when we are framing up an engagement with a customer, we start to talk to them about their journey in developing a rich and robust social selling program. It starts with content. It starts with content orchestration, curating content, not only the content, your brand related content, and getting that all into one place, but also third-party content and partner content, right? And we'll flip forward a couple slides here in just a minute and talk about the integration we have with FinLocker, which helps to pull in really rich and robust financial literacy content, but that's not the only place where our customers get content. Our customers orchestrate content from any number of third-party media sources that we help vet and pull in based on what they're looking to bring to market from a content perspective. So it starts with content. In many ways, an initial entry point is just posting on behalf of those loan officers, right? Recognizing that loan officers are busy. They're not necessarily social media mavens by trade. They're salespeople by trade, right? They're working with those customers to get them into the right product that's going to solve their needs. They're not necessarily marketers, right? So posting on behalf of or creating content that is posted on behalf of those loan officers is really kind of like level one. What we find is that as our customers and their loan officers get more comfortable with that posting on behalf of strategy, they want to evolve that strategy. They want to make other pre-approved content available so that those loan officers can continue to personalize their feeds. They want to have the ability to create their own content through our platform and have it run through the same compliance checks as all other content to make sure we're maintaining compliance best practices. So those loan officers can once again up their game, continue to personalize their feeds, and make themselves more relevant and engaging for their potential audiences. But it all starts with curating content, orchestrating and organizing content, posting on their behalf. And then as those loan officers get to be more comfortable, and frankly, you might have some who never get to be that comfortable. You might have some that are always like, you know what, if you just post 3 times a week on my behalf, that's enough for me. I don't have time for the rest. But then you're going to have other folks, especially the younger generation who grew up in and around social media, that want to have the opportunity to personalize their feeds. They want to have the opportunity to share a picture of them with a first-time home buyer on the front steps, right? But making sure that it is all orchestrated together, that content's not competing against each other in their feeds. And also because of the fact that we're in a highly regulated environment, making sure that we have compliance best practices in mind. That all of that content is approved, it's been monitored, compliance is comfortable with it, it doesn't have any no terms contained within it. All of that happens when you have a platform like Denim to help marketing and those loan officers and compliance stay in lockstep with each other.
I love the Denim platform for all those reasons, because you've essentially, you're arming your client, the lender, with a tool that's enterprise and institutional in nature, but yet is highly local down to that individual loan officer in a market, and connects that loan officer with their following, their followers, their audience in their market. So it's the perfect, to me, it's a platform like Denim is that perfect blend of institutional, enterprise level scale and compliance, which is extremely important, but with a hyper local experience for the end consumer who's engaging with that content.
Totally. Let's keep kind of trucking along here. So what does compliant social selling at scale look like? That's another question we get quite frequently from our customers. It's like, hey, we're posting on their behalf, right? We've kind of taken that initial step. How do we get to be more sophisticated? How do we get to be more robust over time? Really, the answer to that question is combining social media publishing with social media advertising. And so we actually are the only platform for a regulated industry that offers both of those solutions under one roof. The ability to create, schedule, and publish content on behalf of your loan officers, but also recognizing that some loan officers don't have thousands of followers on their social media, that they maybe only have a few hundred. So how do we help them reach beyond their limited first degree connections, deeper in the communities that they serve? We do that with social media advertising. So that combination of publishing and advertising together is really a formula for success. At least that's what we're seeing within our customer base. And what does that lead to? It leads to the opportunity to humanize those connections, authentically engage with your audiences, but also, like we've kind of hammered it home a little bit already, making sure that we're maintaining compliance best practices. A rich and robust social media and social selling strategy only works when compliance is bought in and when compliance is at the table and has comfort in knowing that anything that's leaving their front door is going to adhere to compliance best practices. So driving social media conversion, this is a little bit of a sales funnel type slide. And we talk with our customers quite frequently about this. Like, what is the role of all of our capabilities when you package them all up together? And again, this is still, very much kind of top of funnel, right? We're not in the point of sale, or we're not in the CRM yet, although we do integrate with a lot of those platforms. But if you think about the value of Denim and the integration we have with FinLocker from a content perspective, is to say, how do we drive thought leadership and awareness and trust and credibility with social media publishing? How do we reach beyond those first 3 connections, or re-engage with those folks that are most engaged with social advertising? How do we drive them to landing pages that are, again, personalized at scale on behalf of those loan officers? Recognizing that, not everybody, I'm certainly an offender of this, is that I don't always fill out the form the first time I'm presented with it. I get distracted, maybe the timing's not right, whatever it is. Through our platform, we have the ability to retarget those customers who have kind of like quietly half raised their hand, and nurture and engage them with social media advertising again and again, until the point where they're like, okay, I'm going to fill out this landing page now on behalf of Joe Loan Officer. And then because of the integrations we have with various CRM providers, we're then able to light up a net new customer opportunity, or augment an existing customer relationship, knowing that they're engaging with that loan officer on social media, and measuring all that activity, and potentially treating those customers differently because we know that lead came in from social versus another marketing channel. So social selling in action, what does this look like in the day-to-day of a marketer or a loan officer? It's a little bit redundant here on this slide, but a loan officer posting that content onto their social media feeds, building those relationships, and creating those digital journeys inside the CRM or otherwise that ultimately lead to that consumer or that borrower taking action with that loan officer and being one of those first 2 loan officers that the borrower calls when they're ready. So effective social selling, what does it look like? In practice, it's building authentic relationships. People buy from people, people bank with people. So the opportunity for your loan officers to humanize their personal brands, be authentic with the communities that they serve, become a trusted advisor within those communities, using social media to drive more leads is really what we're all about. In lots of times when we're, engaging with a new customer relationship, there's a mind shift that happens. There's a mind shift that happens when you've historically thought about social media as a brand marketing related exercise. And when that light bulb goes off and our customers start to see that social media is not necessarily just a marketing channel, it's a sales enablement channel, right? How do we use social in a way that drives new business relationships or keeps those existing customers engaged so they come back to us time and time again? So shifting gears now, it all starts with content. We've talked about this a lot so far. This is why we're so excited about the relationship we have with FinLocker and how much great financial literacy content that they are producing each and every day and each and every week to make sure that we are prepping home buyers for when they are ready to take that next step into the home buying purchase process, that they know exactly what they're getting into. And financial literacy is a core component of that. FinLocker and the relationship we have with FinLocker, they are the curators, FinLocker is, of finding and sourcing and creating engaging financial literacy content. And for our shared customers today, we make that content available right within Denim Social. So saving those marketers a ton of time and effort with finding the right financial literacy content to build into your editorial schedules or your social selling editorial schedules. Rest assured that box is checked when you have the FinLocker content library turned on.
This is probably this might be a good place to plug a little bit give a little more information on the FinLocker consumer experience and totally. how that experience then translates into content creation to help, expand the funnel. So FinLocker, we've built a consumer-facing financial fitness app. We're a native mobile app. We're a B2B2C custom white label solution. So our clients typically are enterprise, independent mortgage bankers, financial institutions, banks, credit unions, et cetera, who we then publish this financial fitness app in their branding, in their ecosystem on their behalf. And then use cases for the FinLocker application kind of are up the funnel, which we've been talking a lot about. So up the funnel, we're all about early journey, first-time homebuyer readiness. We also support lenders, consumers who are not yet ready today, whether they're a formal turn down in underwriting or DTI or lack of assets or credit is maybe holding them back today, so they're not yet ready. Our product, the FinLocker product on behalf of our lender, supports that consumer on that journey towards readiness using not just literacy content, but experiences and engagement that sit on top of a consumer's direct source permission data. And so what does that mean? The data that a consumer links in their locker includes their credit, their linked financial accounts, both assets and liabilities, which then gives the app enough data to provide tools on budgeting, goal setting, spending analysis. We also allow the user to link directly to their payroll account. So now you have direct source data that covers assets, income, and employment, and credit, which, by the way, typically are the 4 or 5 things that are needed to make a credit decision, regardless of financial services product. And then we create experiences on top of that data and journeys on top of that data to help move the consumer kind of through that readiness journey. So if we just put a lens on this as a early journey first-time homebuyer who is maybe 14 months away from being ready to buy, they're just now kind of setting up their savings goal for their down payment, and they know they need to manage down some of their expenses, so they've created some budgets. The app, the locker, has all those kind of financial fitness type tools and more. So we also enable real estate search. We have a mortgage readiness assessment, which perpetually analyzes the consumer's data and alerts them when they're getting close or when they are ready. And so the content that Doug's going to kind of go into next is content that our team continues to create to promote general financial fitness, but also promote those specific tools that consumers are going out and using in a variety of places. Think about mint.com, Truebill, Credit Karma, Credit Sesame. Those are all consumer financial apps that consumers download and use for specific purposes. The downside to consumers, especially home buyers, potential home buyers using those apps, is they're generally a marketplace, and behind those apps are the big box brands like Rocket and the others. And so what FinLocker has been focused on is bringing all those tools together in one app under the lender's logo. And now in essence, you're putting a moat around that prospect for all these tools that they're going to use. And so the content that we create supports one or more of those features with a call to action to download the app and get them engaged with your brand.
Yep, 100%. And what I love about this is it's that content's being brought to that consumer on behalf of their loan officer, right? So different than some of the big box guys that are really heavy on, hey, we're sponsoring Major League Baseball. We're really trying to be the big brand that's out there. Ultimately, when a consumer is looking to make that purchase, and it's such a highly emotional purchase. I mean, we tend to overlook the fact that this is the biggest asset that by and large, most people will have on their personal balance sheet. It's hyper emotional. Where you live is hyper emotional. And so having tools that the loan officer is bringing and content that the loan officer is bringing to that borrower is super important in establishing that trust and making sure that they're there, that loan officer is with that customer every step of their journey, from being ready to even think about a loan all the way through the transaction. I want to just take one quick pause, and there's been a number of questions that have come in throughout, so I'll just take a half a second to flip through a few of those. So one question that came up was sort of around the TikTok being a supported network. We actually are a TikTok approved partner. It is not currently live on our platform. Frankly, we're waiting for some customers to really tell us that it's got to be that TikTok is a must-have. Right now, I think we're all just kind of figuring out ultimately how we use TikTok in financial services. Certainly, there are a handful of case studies popping up But yeah, we are approved to support TikTok as a network. It is not live. We're waiting for customers to tell us when it needs to be a priority for them. We will be offering up a downloadable copy of the presentation after this. So if all you folks that are furiously taking screenshots or scribbling notes, you can just put your pens down. We'll send it to you. I think there was one other question. Oh, like where does the FinLocker content sit within Denim? We do have a content engine that's embedded within our platform. This is in addition to. So for all of those folks who are both customers of Denim and customers of FinLocker, magically that folder and all this financial literacy content appears for you. If you are a customer of both of us and you don't see that, just get in touch with your customer success rep and we'll get it flipped on for you straight away. I think those were all of the questions. Oh, and Camilla, there is no extra fee to have access to the FinLocker content library. She's asking tons of questions today, which is good. Okay, so moving forward, what does some of this content look like? These are examples of what some of the content looks like. There's tons of it in the library. So these are just two examples. And for those folks, I want to make sure that I give you guys all an opportunity to sort of see how it works. So let me stop sharing this presentation and let me share a little video here. Brian, can you confirm that it's on?
I
Good
see it.
deal. So just to level set everybody who's maybe not as familiar with the Denim Social platform. So this is inside the guts of Denim Social. You'll see here on the left-hand side, this is primarily the nav that our customers use to manage their way through the platform. Right now, we are inside of the content library section of our platform. And inside there, you will see that there are a number of other libraries that you can choose to get content from. Our content engine is powered by a partner called UpContent. We also have content coming from folks like the American Bankers Association and other partners. But today we're gonna focus in on FinLocker and how easy it is to navigate to, hit play here, navigate to the FinLocker content folder. It's a mouthful. Grab a piece of content. You'll see here that the marketing team at FinLocker has done a great job of pre-writing that post. But you always have the ability to customize that post for your own particular needs. Right now, we're selecting the social networks we'd like to post that to. You can see all the different groups of individuals that you could post this content on behalf of. Take note of the preview on the right-hand side there of what that will look like when it hits Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter and all these other places. You can also @mention folks like FinLocker or @Denim Social. So if you want to get in your @mentions, all your hashtags, all that good stuff, get put in there. You can organize your content for analytics purposes after the fact, and you can tag it as certain types of content. But you'll also notice here, there are approval groups, and that's where compliance comes in. Compliance can be added as an approval group at any time. And some of our customers have it defaulted. That compliance is part of the approval process to make sure, again, that we're adhering to best practices and not giving our compliance officers heartburn. And then what we did here is we just scheduled it to be posted at some point in the future. So easy peasy. So within, I don't know, this was what, 15 seconds, we were able to navigate into the FinLocker financial literacy folder, grab a piece of content, post it at scale on behalf of all of our loan officers. This is one example. And then you've got the audit trail that shows after the fact what happened with that post. And then we can start to measure the analytics on the back end of all of that. So pretty cool. I'm going to stop and then I'm going to go back into my screen share.
Yeah, just while you're doing that, Doug, I would just add some color around the content. Much of what our team at FinLocker has created is similar content to what you might see if you were looking at a NerdWallet, a Zillow, some of the other personal financial management apps that are out there that are attracting consumers. The key difference, of course, is that we're doing this and providing it on behalf of our client to use to draw an audience into their brand, into their logo, and furthermore, into their branded version of FinLocker to really hyper engage that prospect.
Yep, and drive usage, right? And that's one of the key goals is when you make investments in platforms like Denim and FinLocker, you want your loan officers to use it and you want your borrowers to use it. And so this is a great way to drive engagement from a borrower perspective on why they should actually be using and engaging with the platform. So I think we're about wrapping up here, and we've covered a lot of this with other slides, but you saw how easy it is to navigate in and around the Denim social platform. All this content comes preloaded for our shared customers. If you're not a shared customer, I'm sure we could figure out a way to make that happen for you all. It's a huge time saver for so many of our customers to be able to know that they can pre-populate their editorial schedules for weeks or if not months at a time on behalf of their loan officers in just a couple of minutes a day. Empowering those loan officers to take that next step once they see that they've got a baseline level of social coverage. We very routinely see loan officers raising their hand and saying, hey, I want to customize my feed. I want to grab my own content, right? I want to create my own content, but we're making sure that they're doing so in a fully compliant manner. And we're archiving and moderating any and all content that's leaving your front door. Compliance officers love this when the regulators come calling, because we make it dead easy to spit out a social media compliance report that you can just hand off to a regulator. And I think, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question for Brian. Brian, someone's asking, how do you make sure the FinLocker content is compliant?
The good news is we've hired experienced content writers that came out of the mortgage industry. And so we're writing it from the lens of a lender typically. Leveraging that kind of background knowledge and experience.
Cool.
Good question.
We've got a few more coming in here. It looks like our friends over in American Pacific would like to have that flipped on for them. So thank you, Camilla. We'll follow up with you if you want to drop me or Brian an email. Here's our emails on the screen here. Feel free to drop us a note. Looks like Adam, our head of product, is listening in and is responding to some of these as well, some of these questions. Same thing for our friends over at Cardinal Financial. Give us a shout. We'll make sure we get that flipped on for you guys. And I think that's about it. So Brian, any other parting shots, or Diana, any other questions coming in from the audience that we should address?
No more questions, but I just wanted to let everyone know that if we've inspired you to start social selling today, please tag Brian and Doug and FinLocker and Denim Social in your posts.
Yeah.
They're going to help amplify you. I don't know if you follow them on LinkedIn in particular, but they have a lot of followers, so it'll really do well for you. And
yeah.
When
Feel free to slip into our DMs as well. Connect with us and shoot us a note. I love to engage with folks. Obviously it's part of my remit back to the mortgage industry is to carry the torch on why social matters. So feel free to engage with me on LinkedIn or any other channels of choice. I'm available on everything.
Likewise.
We'll be sending out this presentation so everyone can get everyone's social handles. Just be able to click on those links that you can see now.
Doug, it was a blast as always. You did a great
Yeah,
job. Appreciate your expertise around social selling, and the FinLocker team appreciates the partnership with Denim.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for us to get that fintech symposium that we're talking about for the mortgage industry. Keep your ears to the ground, people. There's some fun stuff happening here in St. Louis in the weeks to come.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. See ya.